It was a thrilling finish 2 weeks ago for the ASRS Sam Maxwell Custom Truck Series at Martinsville when Devin Serra beat Jaron Mogard to the line, side by side, and to the door. Tonight, the ASRS Sam Maxwell, it's not Sam Maxwell, I'm getting the trucks and the Cup Series all mixed up. It is the SMS, the Sim Marketing Solutions Cup Series, here tonight at Martinsville, and could we see the same finish? We'll find out on this paperclip short track. Hello everybody, I'm Tanner Sharp, and alongside me in the booth is Peter Short, and back up there in the production truck is Carlos Acosta. Peter, Martinsville threw out a thrilling finish for the Sam Maxwell Truck Series. Can it throw out a thrilling finish for the Sim Marketing Solutions Cup Series? Tell us a little bit about Martinsville.
Well, yeah, I mean, it was an absolute spectacular finish 2 weeks ago, side by side, right to the line. What more can you ask for? Well, I hope to see the same thing here tonight because Martinsville is an action-packed racetrack. It's just over a half-mile long. They call it the paperclip because it's two fairly lengthy straightaways separated by two hairpin turns. And let me tell you what, brakes are always going to be an important factor here tonight. Getting your braking point just right is going to be the key to getting the pole and key to being fast in the race. And you and I know missing your braking point by just a fraction of an inch can lead to cars spinning off your front bumpers. So all the drivers here will be looking out for that. But we saw a lot of green flag racing here 2 weeks ago, so I expect to see a lot of green flag racing here tonight. In fact, last year's race here in the Cup Series went caution-free at Martinsville, which is pretty much unheard of. So I expect to see some great action out of these drivers tonight.
It was definitely unheard of indeed. And for that Sam Maxwell Truck Series, they saw 3 cautions in that race. Only 4 different leaders among 5 lead changes. So not a lot of lead changes right there, but I mean, this track can still put on a thrilling race. The brakes will be glowing, the doors will be rubbing, and the fists will be flying for sure here at Martinsville. But let's take a quick peek here, since we talked about the racetrack, about the point standings right now. Now, on top of the ASRS Premier Cup Series side, Jaron Mogard is currently the points with 34 points ahead of Will Worsler. Corey Silva, who was very strong in that truck race at Martinsville, leading 111 laps. He's 3rd in points, and last time I checked, he was on top of the speed charts. Evan Black, who won the last race on the Cup Series side. Got to figure out what race we were at I think it was a week ago-ish that we seen. I think it was Auto Club that Evan Black won. He started on the pole. Hopefully he can keep the momentum up here tonight. He's 4th in points, 46 points back from Jaron Mogard. And the rest of the top 5 here, you got Mitchell Brown in 5th place with 146 points, 63 points back. Kelsey Rogers in 6th. Michael Krobach is in 7th in points. Alan Young in 8th. Tim Knott 9th, and Alexander Peligan rounding out the top 10 in points as Alexander is 83 points back away from Jared Mogard. And speaking of more point standings, I do believe you, Peter, I think you have the Premier side where they add the Truck Series and the Cup Series together.
Yeah, I do, and Jared Mogard, really, he's running away with the Premier Series side of things currently. He's got 396 points, and right behind him in points is Evan Black. Evan Black is 102 points behind Mogard, so Evan Black essentially has 75% of the points that Mogard has accrued at this point in the season. They've done 11 races so far in the Premier Series, which is really impressive that Mogard has that larger lead. Corey Silva is tied with Evan Black for 2nd in points, but Evan Black has that one win that you mentioned that gives him a little bit of a tiebreak there. Alexander Pelican 4th in points, 118 markers off of Mogard, and Jim Foose rounds out the top 5 in the Premier Series points, 119 markers off of Mogard.
Speaking of Jim Foose, he's pretty strong in the Truck Series side, but he's had some up and down races on the Cup Series side. Only 11th in points, only scoring 1 top 10. So hopefully he can get some momentum going in Jim Foose's machine here tonight. Drivers are currently in the drivers meeting at the moment. I am currently seeing practice speeds going on. The only driver to hit a 19.1, Peter, Corey Silva. And we know he's strong here at Martinsville. He dominated that truck race, but he didn't get the victory. What can you tell me a little bit about Corey Silva as we enter into qualifying?
Well, yeah, you mentioned it. He basically dominated the Martinsville Truck Series race 2 weeks ago and led most of that race, but at the very end, just had a few things not go his way, some strategy calls that just didn't play out for him, and didn't end up winning that race, like you said. So He was very, very consistent in that race. He was very, very fast in qualifying. So I do expect to see him again fast here tonight, as you see Clarence Bonner go for a quick spin there in the number 99 Ultel machine.
And on the screen right now, we have the number 9 machine of Brandon Stokes.
Yeah, we'll see Brandon Stokes here go around a lap of Martinsville Speedway. I mean, you see them, they really try and diamond these corners if they can to keep that momentum up through the corners. But Stokes got a really good run out of turn number 4. 19.19 second lap time. In fact, that's a huge pickup for Brandon Stokes. Yeah, about 0.4 of a second. Will Worsler now jumps to the top of the board. Another pickup for him, about 0.2. So definitely seems like these drivers are picking it up here in qualifying.
Track conditions have changed about almost a 9-degree difference since practice. Practice was 112 degrees. We are now dropped to 103 degrees. So that's providing a little grip out there in these cars as we are seeing new lap times being posted. I'm currently seeing 19 flats from Corey Silva and Will Worsler so far.
Yeah, and, you know, we mentioned it, Corey Silva, he's been really, really fast here at Martinsville, definitely showing his pace. Here's Jared Mogart. Got to keep an eye on this guy. He's pretty much fast wherever we go each and every week. I'm sure that number 00 is going to be fast here tonight. There is Jim Foose, league organizer in that number 42 machine, coming to the line. We'll see what he can do. Sometimes hard to make out Jim Foose's number 42 versus his teammate Steve Buhala in the 43, both running Maxwell Chevrolets, but there's the number 6 Mobile, of course driven by Jared Haggerty each and every week. We'll have to see what Haggerty can do here.
Haggerty has had some decent runs in the Truck Series side, but he's only scored 2 top 10s on the Cup Series side. The last race we did was Auto Club Speedway back on March 12th. He was doing fairly well. He led 16 laps, but he ended up crashing and ended up finishing 24th.
Yeah, definitely a tough break. Here's Evan Black in the number 92. He goes to the top of the board. Look at that, an 18.918 second lap time by Evan Black. That is absolutely booking it around this half-mile racetrack. And those two teammates of Evan Black and Corey Silva, they were the class of the field in the Truck Series side. They definitely figured something out around this tricky track.
Now you got to remember Evan Black back in that Truck Series race, Peter, he was one of the fast cars out on the racetrack until he got himself a speeding penalty. Really never recovered, but he still ended up a solid top 10 finish at Martinsville. So that was about 2 weeks ago in the truck. So Evan Black hoping he does not make any kind of mistakes here tonight once again at Martinsville. But nonetheless, on screen is the number 24 machine. I think he got, that would be Alan Young. Alan's had some pretty good runs, but Alan so far currently 21st right now. In qualifying trim, so it's not too fast. But I do got a question for you here, Peter. You're an iRacer on iRacing yourself here, and I know you've done a lot of Cup Series races on the 3-wide racing side. What is the difference on taking the truck out at Martinsville compared to a Cup car at Martinsville?
Well, that's a pretty good question, because, you know, out of most of the tracks that we go to here in the ASRS, Sam Maxwell Customs, and the SMS Sim Marketing Solutions Cup Series, this track, for whatever reason, it tends to race fairly similar, whether you're in the trucks and the Cup cars. And I think that's just because it's a fairly simple track. There's not a lot of downforce. The trucks tend to have a little bit more grip coming out of the corners, definitely, because they have less horsepower. Usually with the Cup car, you have to watch your rear tires just a little bit, just try and save them for a long run, especially if we're going to get one of those here tonight, which I hope we do. So it just kind of races the same. I mean, it's all about hitting your marks each and every lap. It seems like the Cup car sometimes races a little bit more heavy, so you have to be a little bit more mindful on the brakes, but the race is fairly similar between those two, and I think that's why we see Evan Black and Corey Silva up at the top. In fact, Evan Black got the pole for the Truck Series race, and here he is again in the Cup cars on top of the board once again.
It's going to be a fun night tonight for these Cup cars for sure. They're going to be rocking this place as qualifying's got about 5 minutes left. Some drivers still out there trying to attempt to qualify. We have currently 23 drivers that have currently taken a qualification time. Jamie Moore, Lee Staples, Edward Bray, Richard Fletcher, Jack Wells, Christopher Lane, and Steve Bahula have yet to post a qualification time. Steve Bahula, not showing him currently in the session. Actually, yeah, he is. He's in the session, but he did not take any practice run. So, and the only driver not to take a practice run, and yet so far he didn't take qualifying trim either. I do believe there's a couple of penalties from that was posted this past week, Peter. I do believe you have that information. If I'm not mistaken, go ahead and read off them penalties.
Yeah, and I am literally just pulling this up as you say that. I was just going to grab it from the Facebook group, but yeah, we do have a couple drivers here who have accrued race suspensions. Steve Buhala actually being one of those drivers in that number 43 machine. He's got a 1 race suspension this week. Mitch Brown, another one of those drivers. Mitch Brown has been really fast this season in the number 51 machine, but he has picked up a 1 race suspension, so he will not be racing here tonight. We do have a couple of other minor penalties that were pointed out over the week, but none of those are, I would consider, major penalties. So really just Steve Buhala and Mitch Brown sitting out this event, and I'm sure that's a tough break for them because I'm sure they would want to be here racing tonight. This track is really a lot of fun to race. If you can get a good race in here at Martinsville, it's a lot of fun to race. It seems like you're always around other cars. You're always looking for the pass, and it just makes for a fun and exciting race from the driver's perspective, at least in my opinion. I'm sure some other drivers don't have the same sentiment about this place, but I really like it, and it's tough that Steve and Mitch are missing out.
And since Mitch is missing out, man, he's had some. You said he's been running really good. He's racked up some good finishes. He's led laps in the last 4 races: Auto Club, Daytona, Pocono, and Bristol. And he's finished in the top 10 twice and 1 top 5. That happened at Daytona. You got a 2nd place finish out of that. Auto Club not too strong with a 27th place finish, but I'm sure he still wanted to keep the momentum going as he had an average finish of a 4th place this season. So Mitch Brown, currently in the top 5 in points, will lose those points here tonight on that suspension.
Yeah, and I mean, he's had a tougher go of things on the Truck Series side, but he did get that win to start off the Truck Series side at Daytona, so definitely going to be a tough break for him. But we only have about 2 minutes and 15 seconds left, and it looks like Black and Silva will be leading this front row. I know that's pretty impressive for them to get the front row, a lockout once again. But definitely those primetime racing drivers expecting to hopefully get to victory lane tonight.
Any strategy as far as teammates is concerned there, Peter? Because we have teammates starting 1-2. What do? You let your buddy in line, or how do you play those? How do you play that? I'm
sure here early on you're just going to try and get single file pretty much as quick as possible. I think most of the field will try and do that. Try and log laps early on. It's 175 laps here tonight, so it's a really long race. Got to set in. You got to find your rhythm. So I wouldn't be at all surprised to see Evan Black and Corey Silva just kind of give each other just a little bit of room. But I know with Will Worsler and Kelsey Rogers on that second row, they're going to be trying to sniff blood early on and try and get that lead from those two, because we saw that Evan Black, Corey Silva, they were able to kind of stretch the field just a little bit on a long run on the Truck Series side. So wouldn't be at all surprised to see if Will and Kelsey are able to try and jump those front 2 at the beginning of the race.
Last time we were at a short track here on the Sim Marketing Solutions Cup Series side of things, Will Worsler took the victory at Bristol, and that thrilling finish. There was a thrilling finish where Will Worsler only led 1 lap. And that was the last lap, the one that mostly counted, over Jared Mogar, who led that most laps in that race with 79. And that Bristol race was a very exciting race. That was all the way back in January there, Peter. So it's been a little while since these drivers been on a short track on the Cup Series side. But hey, we're ready to tackle Martinsville here tonight. I think qualifying is going to be concluded here with less than 30 seconds.
Yeah, and one thing I really want to make note of is Sam Maxwell, the number 98 Ford, currently sitting 5th in this qualifying table. And really, Sam really needs a good run. He's had some really rough finishes on the Cup Series side. In fact, 4 finishes lower than 15th out of the 6 races that we've done. And he did start 2nd at Kentucky, but really 5th would be kind of equaling Bristol. So it seems like Sam Maxwell is really good on these short tracks, and it's good to see him up near the front sporting that number 98 Sam Maxwell Customs Ford.
All right, most definitely. The driver I kind of want to keep an eye on, who's had some decent runs, but he had a decent run at Auto Club Speedway, and he also had a decent run at Bristol until he got caught up into an accident. That was Ty Hester. I'm seeing Ty Hester's name up there on speed charts and qualifying trim, so hopefully Ty can keep his momentum going here tonight. So let's go ahead and start off with the grid here. They'll take 2 laps around this joint when they start going. On the pole tonight, congratulations to Evan Black. He'll start side-by-side with his teammate, Corey Silva. Will Worsler is going to start in 3rd spot, side-by-side with Kelsey Rogers. Sam Maxwell rounding out the top 5, and Jared Mogard, the points leader, who's going to start off in 6th place. Brand Stokes in 7th, Josh Walker in 8th, Ty Hester 9th, and rounding out that top 10, Alexander Pelican.
Starting in the 11th position is the number 24 of Alan Young. To the outside of him on row number 6 is the 02 of Danny Rogers. Michael Krobach and Clarence Bonner, are on row number 7. Alex Giese and Jimmy McKee on row number 8. Tim Knott in the number 41 machine alongside Richard Stallings. That's row number 9. And on row number 10, it's the 97 of Andy Veltman and the 42 league organizer Jim Foose.
And sitting in the blackjack position is going to be Jared Mogard in 21st tonight, side-by-side with Troy Haight. Tyler Sawville is going to start in 23rd. Last driver to take a qualification time, Jamie Moore, 24th. Jack Wells in 25th. Lee Staples starts 26th. Richard Fletcher, 27th. Christopher Lane in 28th. 29th, Edward Bray. Obviously, Steve Buhal is on suspension. He's starting 30th, but will not start in tonight's festivities. So I am counting, Edward Bray, he's here. Everybody seems like they're here, and they're supposed to be here. Count 29 Cup cars on this racetrack for Martinsville here tonight, as we are waiting for the pace car to fire up his engine so everybody else can fire up the engines and start on moving for 2 pace laps around Martinsville, as the number 90 is already moving, so they have the signal they can move their cars. A little bit of race details to give you guys here tonight. The weather is 74 degrees, air temperature, track temperature has dropped a couple degrees since qualification. That's going to be a key thing right there, is that track temperature, 100 degrees here tonight. The winds come from the southwest to the south at 2 miles an hour, so it's not really windy out there. 175 laps these drivers are going to be hitting tonight, and that's the biggest thing right here is what I'm going to be talking about next is pit road. Pit road speed limit is 35 miles an hour. Remember, Evan Black was leading the race at Martinsville in the Truck Series side 2 weeks ago when he got caught speeding on pit road on the exit pit road that sent him to the tail end of the longest line. So don't beat yourself on pit road. And finally, what's our fuel numbers? Well, I don't know all the fuel numbers, but I know it's a 100% fuel tank. So it's going to be over 100 laps until they have to make a pit stop for fuel. But if they get cautions in this race, I'm sure a lot of these drivers are going to want to come down for some stickers.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, this track is pretty important to get fresh tires, but we did see 2 tires work just a few weeks ago. So we'll see what's in store as pace car has pulled off.
Hopefully you got seatbelts in your chair here tonight. Make sure you get your drink ready. If not, too late, because we're going green at Martinsville Speedway. Let's go racing, you bunch of hot dogs.
And of course, Martinsville is known for its hot dog. Kelsey Rogers with the number 35 dives down into turn number 1. Looks like the number 29, Will Worsler, is going to be able to jump up in front of him in the number 35. They're pretty much side by side.
Oh, trouble! Sam Maxwell around. Huge accident down turns 3 and 4. No caution just yet. Right now, a bunch of drivers getting a spin around right here. Maxwell was one of those drivers. I am surprised that did not bring out a caution.
I'm kind of wondering if caution flags are turned on or not, because there's the caution. A little bit of contact there with Kelsey Rogers.
Yeah.
Man, and we were just saying that it was great to see Sam Maxwell up there in the top 5 of qualifying. We'll see what happened here on the replay. Trying to get a good look at this one.
Go all the way start, I think.
Yeah, go all the way back to the start. I mean, that happened way up at the front.
Yeah, way up at the front here, Sam Maxwell racing side-by-side with the 00. Jared Mogard racing pretty hard right here as they get down turn 3. Maxwell is actually, he hit the apron right there. Door contact with Mogard. He must have got hit by the 9-2, I'm hearing. But I could have sworn he hit the curb apron. He tried backing up in front of traffic. It looked like that. I would have just stayed where he was at, just in case. And then he hit the gas, hit the inside wall. Let's see here, did he hit right there? Yep, that did it.
Yeah, it looks. Yeah, that little bit of contact, like you said, it definitely unnerved the back end of that number 98 machine. He clipped that curb, and when he hit that curb, he shot up into the side of Jared Mogard, which sent him around. A little bit of contact there right at the end with Kelsey Rogers. Let's see if we can see it right here.
Yeah, but right here, what I don't understand is right here, there's already a car wrecked. Everybody knows there's an accident down 3 and 4. There wasn't a lot of there wasn't really any communication if there was still a car down there or not.
Yeah, of course the iRacing spotter is not the best spotter in the world.
No.
You know, sometimes it can tell you car stopped on the left or car stopped on the right, and it will be on the complete opposite side of the track. So that might have been what some of these drivers fell into there when that happened, but definitely a real tough break for Sam Maxwell. He's currently being scored 1 lap down. I think Edward Bray in the number 66 also currently being scored 1 lap down. Lee Staples, don't think he beat the pace car off pit road, so he'll also be 1 lap down, but here early on, already working the first caution flag of the night here at Martinsville Speedway.
That was a little bit of iRacing's fault, kind of, in my opinion, with the caution delay. That was a huge delay on the caution because everybody's still racing. I mean, that's green flag racing, so it's kind of like a double whammy on when they came back around. Some drivers took some damage. I think one of those drivers was Kelsey Rogers that took some damage from that, but he doesn't look like it's too significant. And you can get away with a little damage here at Martinsville here, Peter. It's not aerodynamic dependent as you see on your 1.5-mile tracks or bigger like Talladega and Daytona, but so you can get a little damage here.
Yeah, you can definitely get a little bit of damage. Aero damage is not that big of a deal, but suspension damage is definitely something you're going to have to try and mitigate. If you get some suspension damage on these cars, A, it makes them much more difficult to drive, and B, it sucks all the speed out of them. So hopefully Sam Maxwell doesn't have any of that suspension damage I was talking about. Hopefully he can get that number 98 machine back to the lead lap here if and when we get another caution, because he is currently in the lucky dog position, I do believe. But pace car lights are off and we're getting set to go back to green flag.
Nothing's really changed within the top 10. A majority of the drivers did not pit. The first driver in fresh tires is Ty Hester back in 22nd position, so majority of the field did stay out under this caution flag. Evan Black, your race leader, the number 92 on the inside. We're back green flag racing. Rory Silva gets a good launch. He might have some room to get to the inside right in front of Will Horsler as they dive down into turn number 1. And so, oh, contact! Kelsey Rogers has turned around. This will bring out a caution, and it's mayhem down turn 2. Everybody's piling in.
Yeah, man, it's a parking lot there. You see, like,
man,
6 cars trying to go 6 wide, essentially. But that, again, happened up near the front. And Kelsey Rogers in the number 35 going for a spin. We'll have to see what happened there on replay.
Right there.
Yeah, he did. He got a little bit of a nudge in the left rear by the 44. Alexander Pelican just nudged him, and then all of a sudden, all these cars had really nowhere to go. 97 of Andy Veltman getting some damage. 28 Troy Haight.
Jared Haggerty's another one.
See what happened here from the looking back on Kelsey Rogers. Oh man, it seemed like Pelican might have thought that door was open, so he tried to fill that door just as Kelsey Rogers was trying to diamond that corner, and you see all these cars stacking up to try and avoid it. Definitely some drivers back there doing a great job just to get to a complete stop once that caution flag was thrown.
This is number 82. I think this is Troy Haight, number 82, on board. Everybody's piling in right there. You can see everybody's piling in.
Oh, yeah, that's
Jamie Moore, excuse me.
Yeah, that's the 82 of Jamie Moore. There's the 36 of Ty Hester just to his right. Just all of a sudden nowhere to go. Troy Haight there was in the number 28 just in front of that mess.
I'll tell you what, I mean, that, like you said, it looked like Kelsey Rogers tried diamonding the quarter and every right to do so. Realistically, he was clear, and by time Pelican came along, he's like, oh, I got a shot. I'm gonna mash the gas. And as soon as he hit the gas, it looked like the Rogers kind of came down at the same time. So it was kind of like a racing effect right there. That's just one of those deals here at Martinsville. We're on board with the race leader right now. All these lap down cars are ahead, so they will take a waiver round, providing if they stay out and not pit. Speaking of pit stops, the top, I'm going to say, Maxwell's pitted. The top 15 cars, all the way back to Jim Foose, has yet to pit. Everybody else has made some sort of pit stop. I'm seeing. And Pelican just received a penalty, an EOA penalty for that incident down in turns 1 and 2.
Yeah, definitely a little bit of contact, you know, here early on in the race. I'm sure these drivers, you know, a good number of them will just kind of want to settle in here. try and get a green flag run. It looks like a couple more drivers, they're slow on the backstretch, trying to get around maybe the 99 Clarence Bonner, who seems to has pulled his number 99 machine over to the side on the backstretch. In fact, he's gotten out of the car with a tow. So not quite sure what's happened there with the 99 Clarence Bonner. For you Sam Maxwell fans, he has got the lucky dog here under this caution, so he's back on the lead lap. Did come down pit road to try and get some of that damage repaired from that first caution flag. But definitely a couple more drivers getting damage under this yellow flag. Not all too many takers on pit road just yet, but I'm sure some of those drivers came down to get some of that damage fixed.
Yeah, most definitely, Peter. It just seems like there's a lot of incidents going on here. A lot of hard aggressive racing and getting in the corner and bumper tagging somebody. I just sent somebody right around in the early stages, and we're only completed 13 laps so far in this race. All the drivers right now are kind of technically racing. Well, they're trying to get back on the lead lap here, or at least take a wave around, so they're going to try to get back and tail in the longest line. Evan Black, race leader. Here's the blimp view as drivers head down turn number 3. Pace car's already down pit road. Black, Silva, Worsler, Mogard, Rogers, the top 5. And waiting on the leader. We're back green flag racing at Martinsville.
Yeah, man, those two prime time drivers got a great restart. Here comes Danny Rogers in the number 02, closing up right onto the back bumper of the number 29 of Will Worsler. 02 of Rogers.
Car around off turn 2. Trying to figure out who that was back there. Caution is out. 72, Michael Krobach. And the pace car.
Oh, Krobach, watch out, you got cars still going by. This is a product of all those cars that took the wave around. So all these cars are way back there behind the leaders. Let's see if we can get a replay. Seeing this restart from on board the number 72 of Michael Krobach. He was up pretty high and, you know, in the top 10 or thereabouts. Just went off into turn number 1, and it looks like he just got loose up off the corner there. Let's see if we can get a second angle.
Yeah, he just got loose off the corner because I was riding on board with him. He was only by the time he got off the corner, he was riding 8,000 RPM, and that thing just spun out on him off turn 2. He's already got rear damage the way it is, but fortunately enough, he did not get any kind of damage from this incident.
Yeah, I think he just, like you said, just lit up the rear tires just a little bit and spun it right around. But we do have a couple cars coming down pit road. Looks like they're led by the number 24 there of Alan Young. Will be the first car to come down onto pit road. A lot of the drivers near the back of the pack are coming down. They're pretty much led by the number 98 of Sam Maxwell. So, oh man, the number 24 missed his pit box completely. Still trying to find that pit box. Finally does so. And getting damage repaired, I'm sure. And Sam Maxwell, he came down under the last caution, so I expect to see him just, coming down, fixing that damage as much as possible.
Top 13 manufacturers are all provided here by Chevrolet. It's the new Camaro ZL1 here on iRacing, and plus the new Chevrolet that NASCAR introduced a year ago on the Cup Series side. So far, the top 10 drivers still have yet to pit in this race, so you know for sure those drivers are playing track position, and rightfully so. We've seen 3 cautions within the first 20 laps of this event here. Jim Foose is actually in 11th. He still remains staying out. I'm seeing Alexander Pelican staying out so far. He had an EO penalty last caution, so he's gained quite a few positions back with a bunch of drivers pitting under this yellow flag.
One driver I kind of want to highlight at this point in the race, and it's still fairly early in the race, but Tim Knott has the fastest lap time of the race so far. We haven't had much green flag running, which might be why, but Tim Knott currently in around the 17th position or so. We're in a 19.812 second lap time, so pretty impressive there by Tim. There he is.
There's Tim. Tim so far, looks like his car is pretty good looking so far. Not seen any apparent damage on his machine. Tim Knott so far having a good night so far. Hopefully he keeps it up. We should have seen the 1 to go signal this time by, and we have. So let's go ahead and kind of reset the field here. Like I said, the first top 10 cars have yet to pit. Evan Black, Corey Silva, Will Worsler, Danny Rogers coming from 12th position ever since the start of the race. He's up to 4th. Jared Mogard in 5th. Josh Walker in 6th. Brand Stokes 7th. Jim McKee 8th. 9th. Alex Kesey, Richard Stallings running off the top 10. So once again, we got Evan Black, Corey Silva on the front row, just like how we started, and we're back replay racing.
Yeah, and with these drivers up at the front, they have yet to pit. Some little bit older tires. It's going to get a little bit tricky on these restarts if they stay out much longer, but they do a good job of it this time. They're still side by side, the prime time racing drivers of Evan Black and Corey Silva. They're side by side into turn number 3 and 4. Black's trying to get that power down up off the corner. Corey Silva hanging tough on that outside line. We saw in the Truck Series race that outside line was almost a better line to pass on because you could kind of pinch down the driver on the inside and kind of thwart his run off the corner. But Evan Black seems to get a good drive out of turn number 3, and he does so here out of turn number 4 as well. And he's going to clear that number 94. So Evan Black has cleared his teammate, and it's a good about 3 or 4 car lengths back to Will Worsler in 3rd.
Oh, so far so good for those teammates up towards front, but that first side-by-side battle back there is between Jared Mogard and the 58 of Josh Walker as they head down 3 and 4. Mogard successfully gets the pass on Walker for the top 5 spot right now, and everybody kind of still remains single file here. Everybody's kind of running into a line right now.
Yeah, definitely. It seems like maybe some of these drivers have decided to kind of cool off. Let's get some running in here. Let's go find our rhythm. Just hit the rhythm lap after lap. Richard Stallings, number 17, he hit the wall a little bit further back, just a little bit. The number 17 machine is pretty torn up here early on. In fact, it seems like it might have some suspension damage or something. As Corey Silva has taken the number 94 to the front. That happened really fast while we were looking away, but here comes Evan Black once again. This might be teammates trying to let the 94 just lead a lap to get a bonus point. It's a smart move here. They had plenty of room back to Will Worsler. It's early in the race, and I think that's what they were doing there.
A little bit of a stack-up jam back here. Jim Foose was one of those drivers in that mix.
Oh.
But, number 80 back there, Jack Wells, got really loose off of turn number 4. He's losing some valuable spots on the track right now.
Yeah, he definitely got loose coming off the corner, got the power down maybe just a little bit too early, and he was racing up there with Jim Foose for around the 10th position, and all of a sudden he's going to drop all the way back. He's going to drop from 10th back to 15th, so minus 5 spots for Jack Wells there, and right behind him is Sam Maxwell. As you see, Jim Foose and the 44 of Alexander Pelican, they're going at each other. That's a battle for the 11th position. Pelican making that pass and getting that 11th position here as we have now completed 29 laps.
Yeah, Alexander Pelican is actually doing a very... Oh, car! Around on the back straightaway! Wrecking hard into the inside wall, trying to figure out who that driver is. Oh, boy.
I think it's Alex Kesey in the 77.
No caution. Again.
Yeah, no caution. Seems like the flagman all of a sudden just doesn't know how to do his job, but we'll wait and see. We stay green, and oh yeah, it looks like Kesey just got loose coming out of turn number 2, kind of similar to what we've seen a couple times here tonight. And Alex Kesey, yeah, go ahead.
I'm either going to blame David Hoots or I'm going to blame Nimcross.
Always blame Nimcross. Always.
Nonetheless, there's a pretty decent battle with Danny Rogers and Will Worsler going on for the 3rd spot at the moment. They're not side by side, but Danny Rogers has some left front damage that's pretty significant at the moment. As Danny Rogers comes off turn number 2 there, trying to get a run on Will Worsler, and nothing really pertaining happening yet. Right behind Danny Rogers is Josh Walker, who got around Jared Mogard for the top 5 spot. But it looks like Will Worsler almost had a mishap coming off of turn number 4, still hangs on to his 3rd spot, as these cats are running about a second and a half behind the race leaders.
Yeah, and Walker has only raced 4 races so far this year, but his best finish was at Daytona for a 7th place finish in that number 58 machine. So I think he's hoping to finish a little bit higher than 7th tonight to see if he can get his best finish of the season, but it's still fairly early going. He does have that number 00 of Jared Mogard right behind him. We've seen Mogard kind of been slowly creeping through the field in some races, and all of a sudden right at the end, as Josh Walker got really loose coming out of turn number 4, he's going to let Mogard by. Mogard's going to use that high side, and just as I was saying, we've seen Mogard kind of be quiet through some races and kind of creep his way up through the field, and all of a sudden at the end of the race you're looking at Jared Mogard leading this thing. So I wouldn't be all surprised to see the same thing here again tonight. Mogard just kind of biting this time now up into 5th position.
So far, so good. We're actually getting our green flag run in here, kind of like what you wanted to expect here all night. And this is actually a really good thing for the drivers, because this kind of will tell the driver, okay, do I got a short run car, do I got a long run car? What do I got to do to have a better car to try to beat the other guys? This is like an experiment right now. It's a long race. We're only 37 laps completing this race out of 175, so it's still a long way to go.
Oh yeah, definitely a long way to go, but some of these leaders are catching lap traffic. Richard Fletcher in the number 47 just went a lap down, and he got passed by Evan Black and Corey Silva at the same time. I've noticed that Corey Silva is running a little bit different line than Evan Black through the corner. You saw him there with a high entry, low exit. So I think Corey Silva's trying to think of a way to see if he can get around his teammate Evan Black. But you can see up off the corner, these cars are getting really sketchy. We've seen a couple of drivers have issues coming off the corner, but even Corey Silva and Evan Black are struggling getting off the corners. You see the number 26 there, Lee Staples, getting into the outside wall.
When you say struggling to get off the corner, it doesn't help when you catch a lap car on corner exit of the racetrack, as Silva is looking towards the inside on his teammate as they head down to turn number 1.
Yeah, Corey Silva, here he goes, trying to make that move. Evan Black's not giving him much room. That's going to allow Evan Black to just stay ahead for now. He just kind of pitched down his teammate there. And I'm sure Corey Silva, maybe not the happiest, but at this point in the race, I'm sure it's, not terrible to have that happen to you with still over 130 laps to go. Man, look at the 94 get slideways up out of turn number 2. Definitely. Yeah, slideways, absolutely. Those two drivers getting really, really slideways, but they're pulling away from Will Worsler. I mean, it's a huge lead that these two primetime racing drivers have over that number 29 machine. In fact, Will Worsler 3.5 seconds off the lead.
Boy, if Corey Silva, like you said, Peter, if he's mad for whatever reason, this race is going to be a long race for him. I mean, this track tests not just your physique, but, we got a battle for 5th going on, and it's a huge battle, because here comes Mogard underneath Brandon Stokes, unless that's just Stokes trying to get around him. But I thought Mogard was in 6th the entire time, but no, almost contact. I tell you what, this track is a physical track, man, especially if you're wheeling and dealing with the steering wheel here on iRacing. It can be dreadful at times. But what I was going to get at is, if you're mad and we're only 40-some laps into this race, we're going to have a long race, because this track tests your mentality as well.
Yeah, going to keep an eye on relative pace here over the last 5 laps. Evan Black, Corey Silva have been the 2 fastest cars on the race circuit, only separated by about 3 1/1000ths of a second. Alexander Pelican, actually the 3rd fastest car out there. In fact, this time by Pelican is now the fastest car over the last 5 laps. Brandon Stokes, also one of the faster cars out there. Brandon Stokes, a little bit off the leaders' pace, but he's currently the 4th fastest car. Will Worsler, the 5th fastest car. So definitely seeing some names kind of coming and going at this point throughout the field. Jim Foose definitely showing some good relative pace at this point in the race. But, these leaders have not pitted yet, and they have now 46 laps on their tires, which is quite a long time here at Martinsville.
Speaking, I mean, realistically, Ty Hester is right behind Jim Foose, and he has not been able to get around Jim Foose yet. And that's like almost 20, that's about 18 lap old tires right there between the two. But we got a battle for the top spot once again. Corey Silva towards the inside on his teammate, Evan Black, for the top spot.
Yeah, and Evan Black just holding him off once more. Corey really trying to get that power down on the inside line, but not quite able to get that power down just yet and get the car to stick. So that battle for the lead will continue on here. We have 127 laps to go this time.
127 27 laps to go. Still a little ways to go here, but still got to be patient. But look at that traffic in front of the leaders here. I'm counting about, man, it's heavy-duty traffic. I'm not even joking. This might back up the race leaders just a little bit and just may allow Will Wurzler to gain maybe a second or two on him, just possibly. But he's almost 4 seconds behind. But hopefully this lap traffic can slow down the leaders a little bit.
Yeah, and there's really no one in between that number. Well, I was going to say that Edward Bray goes a lap down, but Will Wurzler really had no one in between him and the cars in front. So if those lap cars do slow down, the 92 and the 94, it's a prime opportunity for Will Wurzler to close in on them at this present moment, as he's kind of gapped Danny Rogers just a little bit here. There's probably about half a second or so between Wurzler and Rogers, and Brandon Stokes says we have a caution.
Fourth caution of the night, front straightaway. Looks like number 41, Tim Knott.
Well, that's not what he wanted.
No, and you talked about him too. He was having a pretty decent run as well.
Yeah, he had kept that number 41 machine nice and clean. In fact, he might have kissed that inside wall, but he's going to keep that 41 clean at least, with no significant damage, but that's definitely not what he was hoping for. He just got on that gas just a little bit too much and went for a self-spin.
Boy, all the race leaders are now headed down pit road to try to get some 4 fresh tires on their cars. I don't know if it's necessarily the caution Evan Black and Corey Silva needed, but boy, those two teammates just went on out and said goodbye to the field, so you know they're working together, or they worked together back in that truck race, and they're doing the same thing here tonight. They both get into the pit boxes. Hopefully they don't overshoot them, and the biggest thing right here is hopefully neither Corey Silva or Evan Black speed on pit road.
Yeah, I'm sure Evan Black's going to be a little bit more cautious here in this race after that truck race, but he's going to be the first one to hit the ground running, get some good drive out of his pit box, and Evan Black's going to lead the race off pit road. I think Christopher Lane came down pit road in the 01 machine, but he either missed his pit box, although he was a lap down, so I think Chris Lane is back on pit road at this present moment in time. Not quite sure who the lucky dog was. Might be the 24 of Alan Young here. I'll have to go back and double check on who that lucky dog is.
Tell you what, I'm just curious what Will Wurzler and the rest of the field will have to do to try to catch on them two teammates. It just seems like Evan Black, Corey Silva have this track figured out to a T right now, and they are putting a whomping on the field. What are they going to do? What's the rest of the field going to do? I mean, was that green flag run enough information to go off of to see what you can change up to try to run down the top two guys?
Man, I tell you, they definitely showed their muscle, and if I'm Will Wurzler, I'm going to try and figure out how my car was handling at that end. I'm sure he's got a pretty good indication of it, but one thing you can do as a driver is change your brake balance, and I'm sure he's going to take what he has learned on that 40 or so laps on his tires and possibly adjust his brake balance just a little bit to see if he can find some extra speed, because being 4 seconds down is not where you want to be as a race car driver. So I wouldn't be all surprised to see if he's learned a little bit and will adjust accordingly.
Yeah, most definitely, and we got the 1-go signal this time by, so I'm going to reset the field here for everybody. Evan Black, race leader, quarter silver second. Brad Stokes, number 9 and 3rd. Will Wurzler, 4th. Danny Rogers in 5th. Jared Mogard, 6th. 7th, Jimmy McKee. Alexander Pelican in 9th. In 8th, excuse me. Ty Hetzer's in 9th. Running on the top 10 league organizer, Jim Fuchs. Pace cars in. Evan Black, Corey Silva, just like how we started the race 57 laps ago. And everybody else is going to try to figure out what the heck are these two guys doing. We're back in flag racing. Much better restart for Will Wurzler. Can he compete with Corey Silva? Not this time as they head down turn number 1.
Yeah, maybe a little bit of a nudge from that number 29 machine on the back end of that number 94, but everyone stays nice and clean. The number 9 of Brandon Stokes there right behind Will Wurzler. Danny Rogers still side by side with Jared Mogard. That's a battle for the 5th position. Good run by Danny Rogers in the 0-2 here tonight. Got a little bit of damage on that machine, but definitely keeping it nice and clean as you look out the back of the number 92 of Evan Black on his teammate of Corey Silva. Look at Will Wurzler. I think he's trying to see if that door is just going to open enough to peek that nose to the inside of the next.
Boy, Mulgard did a power move off the outside row. Almost contact back here between the 44 and the 31. Alexander Pelican and Jim McKee.
Yeah, I saw that, and they finally get single file pretty much throughout the whole field. The first real battle is Josh Walker. We were talking about Josh Walker just a little while ago, saying how good of a run he was having. Well, now he finds himself one lap down in the number 58 machine as and Corey Silva showing that nose on Evan Black just a little bit down the straightaway, saying, hey, buddy, I'm here. In fact, Corey Silva now trying to use that high line to get around him, but not quite able to do so just yet. And I think some of these drivers are realizing it might be easier to make a pass on the high side, much like it was in the truck race. And maybe the track is transitioning at this point to where that high line's a little bit faster.
I think Silver's got it figured out on his short run. He really gets a launch off corner exit. This time around off turn 4, he doesn't really get that big launch. But you've seen that run. We were on board with Silva, how big of a run he got on Evan Black. As the run went on, it just seemed like Evan Black was able to maintain on that longer run. But those cars are very, very much equal. Oh, contact number 9 is around. Brandon Jones at turn 3 and 4, caution.
Yeah, that's the number 9 of Brandon Stokes. But we'll have to see what happened. Oh, oof, almost hit Eddie Veltman there. But it doesn't. We'll see what happened on replay. I was watching this battle unfold. It just doesn't seem like there was any contact. Except maybe a brake bias issue, possibly some rear brake bias on that number 9 machine, and it just got away from him.
It's the first time we've seen all night long here tonight that a driver got loose on entrance. Now, like you said, Peter, that could have been a brake bias issue. You may have to put some brakes in the front a little bit more, or maybe too much of adjustment that he did under the pit stop.
Yeah, and brake bias is one of those tricky things because there is a point at which you can have too much front brake bias, and all of a sudden, once you try and unload the car with the brakes, all of a sudden the weight shifts in the car and you lose rear traction because you have all the weight transferred to the front so fast. And so it's kind of a balance. Sometimes you can have too much front brake bias and it behaves almost as if you have too much rear brake bias. It's just finding that sweet spot that you feel comfortable in. But definitely Brandon Stokes from a really high position in the top 10 is going to drop all the way back to 16th. But we do only have 19 cars on the lead lap here, and 18 cars on the lead lap as Josh Walker is your lucky dog. We were just talking about him before that caution flag came out, so good break for Josh Walker to join the rear end of the lead lap cars.
And a little bit further more information on the brake bias, and correct me if I'm wrong, Peter, at any given time here, but when you put too much brakes in the front of the car, okay, the brake bias, the car's already gonna, when you get on the brakes, this front end of the splitter's already gonna go down, right? So when you're getting on the brakes, you're gonna get into the corner slower if you have too much front end brake bias, and it's really gonna slow down lap times, but it's gonna help you on exit. If you put it in the rear, it hurts. It helps your entrance, but it also gets you loose, but it can also hurt your exit.
Well, it's one of those things where in iRacing, the tires are so finicky when it comes to tire temperature. When you run rear brake bias, you're usually trail braking into the corner because the brakes will help you rotate your car on entry. Having a little bit of rear brake bias, and so you tend to overheat your rear tires, and so at a track like Martinsville, it can definitely lead to even more wheel spin coming out the corner. We've already seen drivers out here having a lot of wheel spin off the corner, so that's definitely something to keep in mind. You don't usually get that as much with front brake bias because you won't be trail braking on entry to help the car turn, but definitely it can get really tight when you're on those brakes, and then right when you unload those brakes, that's when things can get really tricky with some front brake bias.
Majority of the field did stay under this caution flag. Evan Black still your race leader with Corey Silva. We're back green flag racing at Martinsville. Silva has just been kind of playing the follow leader around his teammate Evan Black. Will Worsley's still trying to figure out something with those top 2 drivers. He's still remaining in the 3rd spot. The top 3 drivers are currently running where they started.
Yeah, the first side-by-side battle is between Danny Rogers and Alexander Pelican.
Ooh, Silva looked like he wanted to get down to his front of his teammate, and there's still some battling with Ty Hester and 31 of Jamie McKee.
Yeah, it looks like they sort out that one at least for now. Oh, man, look at the number 17, Richard Stallings, just outside of this picture. But he tried to go around the outside of Jim Fuchs there at the top of the screen. I think he might just make this pass work. He's ran that. Oh, he gets a little bit sideways through the middle of the corner. I was just saying, looks like he was using that high line to his advantage, but definitely was to his disadvantage.
It looks rough back here, man. I tell you what, Stallings doesn't even have a back bumper to bump.
Yeah, definitely don't want to get into the back bumper of that number 17.
Yeah, battle lead.
Man, Evan Black trying to hold off Corey Silva, and you know, we said it just a little while ago, Corey Silva's going to try the outside line. Seems like that outside line's starting to come in just a little bit. Now he's side by side Corey Silva going to lead this lap.
He likes that high line, and he's embracing it right now because he's getting them nice launches on corner exit. I think he had a better corner exit down turn 4, but Black's going to beat him here on entrance into the middle of the corner. Watch the launch the 94 will get off turn 4. Side by side. Too close to call. That was a photo finish. And quite frankly, that was Corey Silva to the line on the outside line by 6/1000ths of a second. Caution.
Yeah, we have a caution. Don't know who the race leader is going to be after that's all said and done, unfortunately, Tim Knott, this race is not going how he's hoping it to be. That's his second caution of the race. Let's see what happened here on the replay. Here's Andy Veltman. Oh, hit the curve just a little bit.
Boy, that was almost the same situation as what brought the first caution, but except that was a bumper tag from somebody down into turn number 3 back there. But pit road is open. Looks like the leaders are going to stay out here. Jerry Mogard, 00 is going to flinch to pit road. Alexander Pelican, Jerry Haggerty, Sam Maxwell, all hitting pit road. So some drivers within the top 10 are coming down pit road.
Yeah, kind of an interesting point in the race because we're starting to see pretty much a 50-50 of the cars on pit road or staying out, at least for your lead lap cars. As you said, Mogard will lead them down. So I think we're starting to see maybe a little bit of strategy call here. Maybe some of the drivers are realizing that the 92 and the 94 are really fast, so they might try maybe a little bit different strategy to see if they can get them with the fresher tires. So we'll have to wait and see how that plays out, but we have 100 laps to go here.
100 laps to go indeed, and I tell you what, we've already spent about 75 laps in this race. Jared Mogard is actually on pit road longer than to be expected here. It's a really long pit stop for Jared, and he's going to get off of pit road here. Not one of the first guys off either.
Yeah, I'm wondering, Tanner, if maybe Mogard decided to get some of that damage repaired, because we do see some damage on that number 00. He's got some left front damage, and he's got some left rear damage. So, you know, he might have stayed on pit road just a little bit longer, depending on what iRacing tells him his damage is on that car. When these drivers do come to pit road, they do get an assessment of their damage, and Mogard decided to just stay on pit road a little bit longer. He's going to lose that track position, drop back to the 17th position, which is quite a ways back.
Yeah, I'm not quite. Yeah, that could be. I mean, the handling of that car is probably not to Jared's liking, so he wanted to try to get as much damage repaired as possible. But right now, he's practically been in the. He'll be placed into the hornet's nest, where majority of the action and the cautions have been technically happening here. As I do believe we have the 1 to go signal. Evan Black, your race leader. Oh, not yet. I thought it was 1 to go signal, but Evan Black's still your race leader. Corey Silva, Will Wurzler, Danny Rogers, Jim McKee, the top 5. Ty Hester in 6th. Jim Foose in 7th place. Good to see Jim up there. Kelsey Rogers, Richard Stallings, and Jack Wells, the remaining of the top 10. I think we got the 1 to go signal this time by. Yes, we do. And we're going to get double filed up and back underway. Realistically, the way this race is going, Peter, you're not going to beat them under a green flag condition with those top 2 drivers. I mean, I can be wrong, but if you're going to beat those top 2 drivers, it's going to have to be somehow, some way on pit road, as long as Evan Black and Corey Silva does not beat themselves, that throw them in the back of the pack. But nonetheless, pace car is in, and we're going to see Evan Black, Corey Silva try to do it all again as the race leaders. We're back green flag racing. Let's see what Danny Rogers or Will Wurzler can do with the top 2 cats.
Yeah, and don't forget, these leaders have about 20 laps on their tires. Did a great job of getting restarted with no wheel spin, as they're racing really hard near the back of the pack, and everyone kind of getting single file up for the first 4 or 5 positions. Key racing side by side with Ty Hester off the corner. It looks like the iRacing gods kind of cut Evan Black a little bit of slack because Corey Silva was to his outside and almost had the lead when that caution flag flew, but Evan Black was ahead by just a fraction of a car length when that caution flag did come out. So Evan Black, your race leader, Corey Silva sits second, Will Warser third, Danny Rogers fourth.
Two different leaders so far in this race, and that's been only Evan Black and Corey Silva thus far, but anything can happen in the last remaining 8 laps here or so. But hey, we're only, or not 8 laps, but excuse me, a little bit less than that. But almost halfway to the point here. But either way, we're less than 100 laps to go, as everybody's just single file. I'm seeing some double file racing back there. Jared Mogart trying to make up some spots at the moment. He's back there in the 13th position. Nothing really happening with race leaders. I tell you what, Mogart's actually in a Hornet's nest, because just ahead of him is Jack Wells. And you got Jared Haggerty, you got Richard Stallings. That's who Mogart is battling with in the 17 machine. There's a battle going on between Alexander Pelican and Jim Foose in the top 10. Pelican in the 44, Jim Foose in the 42. Jim Foose just surrendered that position to Pelican. That heavy-duty battle still continues where Jared Mogart is at.
Yeah, and I'm just keeping an eye on some of these cars because Alexander Pelican does have fresher tires on his number 44 machine. And he's worked his way up into the... Oh, God, that Will Worcester's going around off the front nose of Danny Rogers.
There should be a caution.
No,
there it is.
There's the caution.
Wow.
And that happened right near the front of the field. Will Worcester running third position. Danny Rogers in fourth.
Oh, yeah, Rogers made contact with him, turned him around. Tell you what Will Warsaw tried to do on entrance to that corner, he tried diming that corner, entering a little high. And I tell you what, Rogers just threw it in there, and he had a good run. The bottom lane didn't hit the curb or nothing, just clipped that left rear quarter panel. Just two distinctive lines on entrance.
Yeah, we'll see this this on the replay here, and yeah, it looks like Will Warser was just trying to come down the racetrack a little bit, and Danny Rogers' nose was there. Not quite sure if the spotter didn't say car inside, but Rogers was trying to take advantage of that situation with the 29 running a little bit higher entry, but that's definitely not what Will Worsler wanted, because Will Worsler will be buried in the field. But we do have your race leaders on pit road. A couple of drivers who took tires into that last caution actually stayed out, so we will have a new race leader here once this is all said and done, but the 92 Evan Black will lead them down pit road this time. Corey Silva right behind him. So all those drivers kind of fanning out there. I'm kind of curious to know if we're going to see 2 tires, 4 tires, or what here. Got to keep an eye on that timing ticker. Oh, Corey Silva is going to come out right in front of Evan Black. So Corey Silva's crew, great pit stop for them. Rest in peace, Cone. But definitely interesting turn of events here at Martinsville Speedway. Well, 87 laps to go. We have just crossed the halfway mark here in the 175 lap race tonight. Been a pretty good race so far. We did get some green flag racing in. We have seen some caution flags and some action here tonight as the number 80 Jack Wells coming on pit road now. Looks like we'll have 19 cars on the lead lap. Tyler Sovell in the number 11, currently sitting in that 19th position. Definitely a good race so far. Have to see, hopefully under the next caution we can drag someone up here into the booth to see what's going on out there on the racetrack. But the race currently led by Alexander Pelican, who's on 14 lap old tires in that machine. So definitely interesting to see what kind of speed he has. And Jared Mogart, we were talking about him, he had a long pit stop there under that last caution, but he definitely got some of that damage repaired, I would think, and now currently sits second right behind Pelican. If you're wondering where Corey Silva and Evan Black are, they're not too far back. They're the 5th and 6th place cars, so only 4 cars stayed out in front of them. Those 4 being the number 98 Sam Maxwell, Josh Walker, Jared Mogart, and Alexander Pelican. As pace car lights are off. we'll see what happens here under this restart. Ooh, a little bit of wheel spin from Alexander Pelican, but he's going to get on that loud pedal first. And here comes Jared Mogart to his outside. They're going to be side by side going into turn number 1, but Mogart runs really high coming out of the corner. He's going to get a good drive out of turn number 2. He's going to clear the number 58 of Josh Walker as they head off into 3 and 4. But look at Walker down there on the inside. Sam Maxwell trying to hold off the 94 Corey Silva. Silva to the inside. That's a side-by-side battle for the 4th position. Oh, 93 Evan Black's around. Oh, and that's not what we wanted to see. Caution flag is out. Evan Black's got damage on that number 92 machine. We'll have to see what happened here. But Evan Black, we've seen him run really fast here tonight. Let's see if we can see what happened. Ooh, Jimmy McKee there in the number 31 seemed like they got together. Not quite sure what happened there. We'll have to see if we can get another angle on that one, perhaps. See if we can see if there was any contact riding on board with the number 31 of Jimmy McKee down the front stretch. And, oh, looks like that number 31 car just all of a sudden didn't want to enter the corner. And there was contact.
Yeah, that's some pretty significant contact, but you gotta remember, it's the first time that top 2 cars, them cats were in traffic realistically all night, with the exception of trying to get, lap down drivers. But guess who's the race leader now? Oh.
Yeah, Jared Mogard. And
Jared Mogard.
He's definitely showed a good amount of pace. Interesting to note, Alexander Pelican in the number 44, he stayed out under the last caution, was your race leader briefly, but the 44 came down pit road, took 4 fresh tires, and he'll be the first one off pit road of those that did decide to come down and pit. Also on pit road, the 29 Will Worcester, the 11 Tyler Sauvel, Jimmy McKee decided to come down pit road, Jared Haggerty, Jamie Moore, but we should be up to 20 cars on the lead lap now. I think Jamie Moore will be that 20th car. Troy Haight currently sits in the lucky dog position. Right behind him is Tim Knott in the 41. As I say that, those positions change hands between Knott and Haight. So Tim Knott and Troy Haight will, regardless, be racing for the lucky dog once we go back to green flag racing here in probably about a lap and a half. Definitely a lot of action here tonight, Tanner. It's Martinsville's living up to its what you'd expect here at Martinsville. Well, pace car lights are still on. Kind of surprising. We kind of got a long caution flag here of sorts. But we'll kind of reset the field for you here as they pace around. Jared Mogard, your race leader. Josh Walker sits second. Those 2 drivers have now stayed out for 2 consecutive caution flags. That's why they have that track position. Corey Silva sits third. Sam Maxwell, he's also stayed out for 2 consecutive caution flags. He sits 4th. Ty Hester 5th. Kelsey Rogers 6th. Evan Black 7th. Brandon Stokes in 8th. Richard Stallings 9th. And Jim Boos, we've mentioned him a few times here tonight. Seems like he has worked his way into the top 10 and has stayed in the top 10 for the last 20 or 30 laps or so. But pace car lights are off.
Yeah, Martinsville's been a chaotic event so far here on the Cup Series side. Not too much on the Truck Series side, but tonight it just seems like there's a lot of miscalculations as far as getting in the corner, making contact with somebody. But we got Jimmy Key just giving an EOL penalty. Pace cars in. Jared Mogard, Josh Walker, Corey Silva, Maxwell Rogers, the top 5, and wait for Mogard. We're back green flag racing.
Yeah, a little bit of a stack up in the back of the pack between Richard Fletcher and Tim Knott. But up at the front, the number 00 of Jared Mogard is going to see if he can keep this race lead. He's got a fast charging number 58 right behind him, and an even faster charging Corey Silva on fresher tires than the 2 in front of him. But as long as Mogard and the 58 race side by side, there might not be much that Corey Silva can do.
Boy, I mean, yeah, Corey Silva's doing everything he can to try to get around these 2 cats up here, trying to go side by side with Josh Walker, trying to beat him on corner exit. It just looks like the 94 machine just has a better car, as he had all race long. He's about to get by Josh Walker right here as they head down in turn number 1 and 2. He does. Now he's got one more car to go. A little bit of a stack up with Evan Black back there. Evan Black is actually stuck in traffic. He actually had to check up a little bit for Kelsey Rogers in the 35 machine. Behind Black is a side-by-side battle between Brandon Stokes and Ty Hester for position. That's a battle for 8th and 9th. Black, actually 7th and 8th, excuse me. Black is already up to 6th position. Now he's going around the outside on Kelsey Rogers for position, trying to use that Corey Silva line.
Yeah, well, you know how that happened. The 35 of Kelsey Rogers gave the 98 of Sam Maxwell a bump going into turn number 1, just a nudge to the back of that number 98 machine to move him out of the way. That caused Rogers to check up just a little bit. Evan Black had to go around the outside to not...
Battle lead.
Yep, battle for the race lead. There is Corey Silva on those fresher tires trying to get around Mogart.
Oh, trouble! 17's around!
That'd be Richard Stallings.
Oh yeah, he almost went around. Tell you what, that wall saved him. But there's no caution for this. He didn't fully go around, but he got hit, or at least he had a slide job down turn 3 and 4 for the replay.
Yeah, and as you watch this, Corey Silva did get the race lead, and ooh, look at that number 17. Man, what a slide, what a save for him to keep that number 17 pointed in the right direction. But as we return to the action, there is your new race leader, Corey Silva.
Corey Silva, now he understands what kind of car he has. Him and his teammate were fooling around for the race lead at times here, and right now he's really showing his muscle as he's really trying to show it as a race leader in that clean air. Bogart in second, Walker in third. Silva's teammate Evan Black is actually in the 5th spot right now, stuck in traffic. Yeah,
which is incredibly impressive that Evan Black was turned around, did a complete 360 just a caution or two ago, and he's still in the 5th position. I mean, that's incredibly impressive that he was able to get that car righted around so quickly that he didn't lose a ton of track position. Now he's trying to battle with Sam Maxwell and the Sam Maxwell Customs Ford for the 4th position. Ooh, man, look at that number 98 machine. I mean, Sam Maxwell's done this a couple times this year, had a really beaten up car and taken it to some good finishes. So definitely a testament to the skill set that Sam Maxwell has. He can lumber around a pretty damaged car, showing that here again tonight. But I think he's kind of holding up Evan Black just a little bit. Evan Black had to check up there as the 98 came down on him just a little bit. I'm sure Evan Black's going to try and see if he can find another way around and maybe use that high line. And speaking of high line, there's the number 24 a little bit further back in the pack, excuse me. Racing side by side, there's Ty Hester in the number 36 trying to get to his inside. Danny Rogers in the 02. We've seen Danny Rogers have a lot of speed here tonight, but currently sits down there in the 10th position, kind of mired back there. And number 24! And the 24 is around.
No caution.
Yeah, no caution. That's Alan Young.
A little bit. He's going to stay put.
Yeah, Alan Young gets it.
That was not a caution.
He gets it pointed around. No caution out at all. I mean, that's really interesting to see no caution there. He was racing hard with Ty Hester. Maybe a little bit of a nudge from that number 26 machine to spin Alan Young right around. But luckily for Young, he didn't lose a lap. So now he just has to find his rhythm once again. But there was definitely maybe a little bit of net code between the 24 and the 26, but there was just enough to turn the 24 around. As the 94, he's kind of checked out, Tanner, at the front.
He definitely is. I mean, he's going to lap the 24 car, but the 94 of Silva, man, he's checked out on Mogart. I mean, it's some of these cats got to do something because we're that grandfather clock down Victory Lane. It's getting louder and louder and louder.
Yeah, just 63 laps to go, and we'll have 62 laps to go this time by. And yep, that number 94 definitely putting on a clinic now. He's able to kind of shake Evan Black, his teammate. Oh, we got the 58 around on the back stretch. Caution. And that is Josh Walker running in the 3rd position. Just got the gas a little bit too hard. I'm sure we'll see it here on the replay in just a moment. And see him here going through the middle of turns number 1 and 2. Got the power down just a little bit, and man, just looped right around on him. Oh, we have Corey Silva. Corey Silva just lost the race lead. What just happened there?
Silva was the race leader. He was coming around turn 2 to collect the pace car, from my understanding, and he's got damage. Oh, that's the reason why. Is because he was trying to figure out where the 58 was going, and the 58 just blocked him.
Yeah, that is absolute heartbreak for Corey Silva. He's going to have to now regain the race lead. I'm sure a couple of drivers will have black flags from this, though. Jared Mogard, Kelsey Rogers, Evan Black, I'm sure they'll all have black flags because they passed Corey Silva when they hit the pit road. So it'll be interesting to see how that is ruled here as Corey Silva finally makes it back to his pit box, and Mogard's going to win the race off pit road. Ty Hester in the number 36. I think he might have taken 2 tires because he comes out second off pit road. Evan Black third, Kelsey Rogers fourth. Definitely an interesting turn of events there. I've been in Corey Silva's position a couple times where, you know, cars stopped on track. It's kind of a 50-50 call. Are you going to go high or are you going to go low? And unfortunately for Silva, just chose the wrong direction.
Yeah, most definitely, but hopefully he can get back on up there towards the front. He knows he's got a fast car, so hopefully he can do something with it.
Yeah, he's going to drop back to the 8th position here at this present moment in time, so it's definitely a tough break. He's got the number 98, Sam Maxwell, Troy Haight in the 28. He was a lap down not too long ago. In fact, might have been the lucky dog under this caution, or at least the last caution. So Troy Haight in that number 28 machine, back on the lead lap, currently running in the 5th position. Once this all cycles around, we'll kind of give you the running order. It doesn't look like these drivers up at the front, like Mogard or Ty Hester, are going to come down and serve any type of black flag for passing the 94 while he was stopped on the track. That's definitely just one of those things where it just worked out against him. We have a couple of cars in front of your race leader who are going to take the wave around here. Richard Fletcher, Edward Bray, Lee Staples, Andy Beltman being those. We currently have 20 cars on the lead lap here with only 58 laps to go. Tim Knott is the first car 1 lap down in the number 41. Josh Walker, who spun to bring out that yellow flag. He is the 22nd place car. Second car 1 lap down. Andy Veltman 1 lap down. Edward Bray, Richard Fletcher, those cars taking the wave around to be 1 lap down in hope of getting the lucky dog to see if they can get their way back. Ooh, I'm looking a little bit of a stack up near the back of the pack as we're getting set to go back to green flag racing. Mogard hard on the loud pedal. What a jump by Mogard. He jumped pretty much a full car length away from Ty Hester. Is Evan Black going to look to the inside of Ty Hester? Evan Black's led the most laps in this race, trying to get his way back to the front after being involved in some contact not too long ago. Kelsey Rogers also trying to look underneath Ty Hester. Hester, under that last pit stop, took 2 tires, so we'll have to see how those 2 tires work out for him. He's already lost the 2nd position, so it doesn't look like it's working all too well just yet. Corey Silva looking out to the inside of Kelsey Rogers here on your screen. Those two dueling it out side by side coming out of turn number 4. This is really the first battle on the racetrack. Evan Black just up ahead. He's going to be sniffing on Mogard for the race lead. Ooh, a little bit of contact possibly there out of the corner. Kelsey Rogers definitely scraped the wall. You saw some sparks fly on that number 35 machine. That's going to move Corey Silva up into 4th. Looking just a little bit back, this is the number 31, McKee and Pelican. That is a battle for the 8th position. Pelican trying to hold tough on the outside. Still nothing happening up at the front. Evan Black, though, all over the back bumper of Mogard. Mogard got that great jump, but Evan Black has kind of countered with some really fast laps over the last few laps. This time by actually Ty Hester. Those 2 tires the fastest car out in the circuit, surprisingly. But definitely everyone kind of getting single file until you reach Pelican and McKee. That side-by-side battle for the 8th position still ongoing. McKee got really loose coming out of turn number 4 there. Definitely hurt his run down the front stretch. They get really tight there through the center of turn number 1 and 2, but no contact. Corey Silva, we have a battle for the 3rd position. Silva's going to go underneath Ty Hester. Move Silva up into 3rd. So this is definitely between the number 92 as Black is looking to the inside on Mogard. They get really tight coming off the corner. They're side by side for the race lead. There is that battle. And Black is going to pull alongside the number 00 through the center of the corner. They get really close again. They might have touched, and Black had to back out of it as to not wreck the number 00. And Corey Silva has now caught up to the back bumper of the 92. So those antics between the 00 and the 92 have definitely worked into Corey Silva's hands, because those number 92 and the number 94, those two drivers, they're looking for a little bit of a comeback story after going through some trials and tribulations here through the middle part of this race, trying to get up to the front. Oh, contact! Sam Maxwell's around. That's Danny Rogers, I think, involved there. They make contact with the pit wall, and the number 02 is inside the track. He seems to be stuck there. No caution out here, and that's a heartbreak for the number 98, Sam Maxwell. He's going to lose a ton of track position. Let's see if we can see that one on replay. This is the lap prior as they head down the backstretch into turn number 3 and 4 here. We'll see what happened. The number 98, Sam Maxwell, was tucked up behind Ty Hester, pretty much in the 6th position here, and Danny Rogers just sent it down into the corner, and there really wasn't much room there. Just caught the left rear of Sam Maxwell, and man, hit those barrels right at the end of that pit wall, or should I say just, well, it used to be the pit road here at Martinsville Speedway back in the day, but that backstretch pit is not active anymore. But up the front, well, this has all been going on. The number 00, Jerry Mogart, still able to hold on to the lead with 45 laps left in this one. Kelsey Rogers in the number 35, he's staying right on the back bumper of Corey Silva, which is kind of interesting here. Mogard using a little bit higher entry into turn number 1. Maybe he's trying to use that little bit higher line to see if he can get that drive up off the corner, which he does so here. But definitely a 4-car race here at the moment. Ty Hester on 2 tires currently runs in the 5th position, so it seems like those 2 tires are at this point working out for him. Oh! Man, that was a wicked twitch of the wrist there by Evan Black. We were riding on board with him, got completely sideways. That opened the door for the number 94 of Corey Silva, his primetime racing teammate, to jump up into the 2nd position. A little bit of a slip up by Evan Black here in the mid-late portion of this race, whatever you want to call it, here with only 42 laps to go. And oof, looks like they're all flirting with the wall there. In fact, Corey Silva definitely caught the wall. I got a little bit of right side damage on that number 94 machine, so all of a sudden it seems like these drivers are trying to turn up the wick just a little bit to see if they can catch and possibly pass Jared Mogard. But this is exactly what we've seen out of Mogard this season here in the Sim Marketing Solutions Cup Series. Man, it seems like we're getting the trucks in the Cup Series mixed up all night. I'm sure Sam Maxwell is not too upset about that. But here comes Silva, poking that nose underneath Mogard once again, not quite able to find anything just yet. We look back here, you can see these front 4, basically you can throw a blanket out of a Mogard, slips up out of turn number 2, just a little bit. That's going to allow Silva to get to the inside, and they're side by side coming out of turn number 4. Mogard still getting loose. He had to save it, couldn't get the power down. Corey Silva has gotten back to the front here at Martinsville with only 38 to go, and that's really impressive after having that caution flag mishap just about 20-25 laps ago. Dropping himself back to 5th position, Corey Silva once again leads, and now we have a side-by-side battle for the 2nd position. The primetime racing teammates of Silva and Black they seem to be stuck together on this racetrack. They haven't been able to get away from one another all night long, but Corey Silva's going to try and do his best to stretch out a lead here as they continue to race side by side for 2nd. They have caught the tail end of lap traffic. Richard Fletcher in the number 47, he took the wave around under that last caution. Mogard's going to shut the door on the number 92. You saw that look in out the front bumper of Kelsey Rogers in the number 35. But Evan Black's going to make another charge here down on the inside. We're 3 wide through turns number 1 and 2. Fletcher's going to back out of it, wisely so, to let these leaders duke it out here at the half-mile paperclip. But while these two are racing side by side, it is allowing Corey Silva to be about 0.2 of a second faster per lap. And this lap is definitely going to go well in favor of Corey Silva due to that side-by-side three-wide action into turn number 1. Evan Black almost had, oh, Black got loose! Black's trying to save it down the backstretch, still trying to sell contact with Richard Fletcher. Fletcher's in the pit wall. And we stay green flag racing after all that. But Fletcher in the pit wall, trying to come back. Oh, we have a caution. He came back on track, and the caution flag was thrown because of it. Oh, we have another car around us, Edward Bray in the 66. So not quite sure if the caution's the 66 of Edward Bray, or if the caution was due to Fletcher coming back on the racetrack. We'll have to see if we can figure out what happened to either of these drivers, because all of a sudden it seemed like everything happened at once. And I'm not quite sure if there was any contact there between the 92 and the number 00, but definitely that number 92 all of a sudden got wicked loose. Just seemed like it happened out of nothing. And see from the helicopter cam, it doesn't, oh yeah, well, maybe a little bit of net code. I think there was a visible gap between those cars, and it looked like they all of a sudden bobbled, which is the key indicator of net code. And poor old Richard Fletcher got or at least he nailed those pylons going into the corner. And there's the number 66 Edward Bray. He went for a spin as well. But definitely action happening here. All the leaders are on pit road. We'll have to see who wins this race off pit road. Evan Black, I should say, has a decent amount of damage, but he is going to win the race off pit road. I have to assume here that he took only 2 tires. He did. 8.96 second stop. Jimmy McKee also taking 2 tires. So that is going to shuffle up the field. Corey Silva came off pit road right behind Evan Black, but Corey Silva definitely taking 4 tires. So going to be interesting to see if Evan Black can hold him off. There's only 30 laps to go, so this race is quickly winding down. And if it was me making the calls, and of course, you know, I'm up here in the booth, so my calls are not always the best, but I would have taken 4 tires. There's 30 laps left in this race. I think that is just enough laps to make 4 tires matter over 2 tires, but only time will tell. Cautions do breed cautions. We're at a short track, the paperclip, Martinsville. I wouldn't be at all surprised to see a couple more cautions. We're working caution number 10 of the race. 46 laps under caution. I'm sure, you know, that's kind of a polar opposite to what we saw on the Truck Series side just 2 weeks ago here at this track. We only had, I think, 2 cautions in the Truck Series race, and one of those cautions was at the beginning of the race. So it was a very clean race, and tonight seeing 10 cautions, it's been somewhat surprising, but pace car lights are still on. Richard Stallings out there in the number 17, he actually did pit. So Richard Stallings and Sam Maxwell, both of those drivers stayed out here under this caution. They will be the 2 drivers on the front row. There's Richard Stallings trying to get some of that damage repaired in that number 47 Cessna machine. In fact, he might have parked for the night, but pace car is coming off the racetrack. It's going to put the race in the hands of Richard Stallings. He does have some older tires, so we'll have to watch out for the wheel spin here. Green flag back in the air. 98 of Sam Maxwell definitely got some wheel spin there. Definitely didn't get going. Evan Black right on the back bumper of Richard Stallings as they head off into turn number 1. 98 of Sam Maxwell is going to lose out here quite considerably on those older tires. Evan Black now going to dive to the inside of Richard Stallings. Don't think this is going to be too much of a race for the lead, as 92 Evan Black asserts himself as the race leader here now with only 26 laps to go around this racetrack. 94 Corey Silva able to follow him through, and I said, you know, I felt like this was just about the right number of laps for 4 tires to matter. Only time will tell if that's true. The 92 up ahead had about 20 extra laps on his left side tires, assuming he took right sides over that last pit stop. Not 100% sure there, but Jerry Mogard has been able to now clear Richard Stallings. So Mogard now up into the 3rd position. We saw Mogard lead a significant number of laps until he started to get loose on about a 20 or so lap run, and that's what you can get here if we do stay green. Though side-by-side battle for the race lead. Corey Silva looking underneath the 92. There they are, the prime time racing teammates, and Corey Silva using those 4 fresh tires to get that drive out of the corner. I won't be all surprised if he's able to clear 92. He dives down into turn number 1 hard on the brakes. Evan Black still holding tough on that outside currently, as Mogart's going to watch this battle. Mogart's hoping that they can stay side by side, but that's not going to be the case. Corey Silva asserts himself as the race leader. 22 laps to go, so Evan Black on those 2 tires. Remember, 92 gets really loose coming out of the corner, and my, those 2 left side tires on Evan Black, seems like all of a sudden, seems like he's just not able to get the power down like he needs to, as Jared Mogard slowly starts to close in. Mogard just out of frame here, running a little interesting line into turns number 1 and 2 there, running really high, higher than I think we've even seen anyone all night long, but he's going to try and late apex that car to get a drive up off the corner. And if you're wondering why they are doing that here, getting a low exit off these corners is one of the best ways to save your rear tires, and we've seen rear tires be paramount here to the speed of these drivers. The one driver, contact here, Richard Stallings, he around to the side of the 29 Will Worcester. He stopped on the racetrack. Caution is out. 19 laps to go. We got our 11th caution flag of the night. Richard Stallings, we'll have to see, go back and watch this one on the replay. And they went off into turns number 3 and 4. And looks like Richard Stallings there got sideways, and unfortunately Will Worcester was in the wrong place at the wrong time. We'll see this on the replay here, looking out back, because there wasn't much of a back bumper on that number 17 machine, but that nudge there from Will Worcester got that number 17 sideways, and Richard Stallings decided to cut that car hard right, nailed the side of that number 29. Not quite sure if that was to try and finish off that number 29 machine from that contact, but definitely not what Richard Stallings was hoping for. In fact, Stallings here had a hard time getting his car pointed back around, and he is going to lose a ton of time. He was the race leader here not too long ago, and he's going to lose multiple laps as he's on pit road in that number 17 machine. But with only 17 laps to go, we'll probably have about a 15, maybe 14 lap shootout here to the end. Doesn't look like anyone's coming down to pit. Throughout the field, we do have 19 cars on the lead lap. So if you were to pit, it's probably best to stay out at this present moment in time, just because of the track position situation. Even if you had 4 fresh tires, I don't think there's really no way you'd be able to race through this field. Although we did see the 29 of Will Worcester have a spectacular run on 4 fresh tires at Bristol earlier this year in the SMS Cup Series, but we just saw that number 29 of Will Worcester flash off pit road on the bottom left-hand side of your screen. He's going to stay on the lead lap, but he will be the last car on the lead lap. Although Jack Wells, he got the lucky dog in the number 80 machine, so I assume once the end of longest line penalties, or at least end of longest line flag gets shown to Jack Wells will be the last car on the lead lap, just because of the fact he is the lucky dog. Richard Stallings is going to get an EOL penalty there. Not quite sure about that one, but he is currently sitting on pit road. Nope, he is just coming off pit road. So Stallings does rejoin the fray in the 22nd position. Not quite sure at this present moment in time if he could lose any more spots, because Richard Fletcher, we saw him involved in hitting the pit wall in the previous caution to this one. He is still on pit road, so I assume that's a retirement for Fletcher. Tough break for him. He had a pretty good run going here tonight, stayed on the lead lap for most of the event. The pace car lights are off. Let's reset the field for you here. 14 laps to go. We'll have 13 laps once we go back to green flag racing. Corey Silva is your race leader. Evan Black, his teammate to his outside. Jared Mogard, your points leader, 3rd. Kelsey Rogers, 4th. Ty Hester, in 5th. Pelican, McKee, Allen Young, Stokes, and Haggerty round out your top 10. The flag is in the hands of the flagman. Green flag flies once again at Martinsville Speedway. Corey Silva didn't get the greatest of restarts. Evan Black's going to try and hold tough on the outside. He's kind of slipped up right in the center of turns number 1 and 2. That's going to allow Silva to get a little bit of an advantage on the backstretch, but Evan Black dives it down into 3 and 4. Not able to find that grip though, and 94, Corey Silva back to the front as Kelsey Rogers has worked his way now into the 3rd position. Mogart slips back to 4th, and Ty Hester still sits in 5th. Pelican 6th, Allen Young 7th. They're pretty much single file all the way through the top 10. Stokes trying to get underneath the 24. He got really sideways coming out of that corner. That's going to allow Jimmy McKee to look to his inside. This is the first real battle on the racetrack. You're not missing anything up at the front. Stokes still getting loose. Out of turn. Oh, nudge! And the number 9, Brandon Stokes, sideways. Caution flag is out. And I feel like the yellow flag was thrown possibly prematurely there. Because it seemed like the number 9 might have had that thing saved. Although the caution might have also come out because of the 47th slow on the backstretch, but Richard Fletcher was rejoining the racetrack when this all happened, but I think it was definitely that number 9 car getting sideways. Did a great job of saving it to prevent any further damage, but it seemed like that number 31, Jimmy McKee, and the number 9, when you're so close on entry into the corner, it's really hard to judge that car in front of you and when that car is going to brake. It's near on impossible sometimes, and you know, when this race is winding down so fast, as we're now under 10 laps to go, it's go time. Sometimes you're going to, you know, accidentally miss your braking marker or misanticipate when the car in front of you is going to brake. And I think that's what happened there, as Stokes is going to slip back into the 11th position, but he definitely mitigated any further damage by saving that number 9 Chevy. But as these laps wind down, it's going to give the number 92 Evan Black one more shot to get that number 94 in front of him. Kelsey Rogers, we saw him now move up into the 3rd position. So good run for Kelsey Rogers up there. Kind of, he's got some damage on that number 35 machine just out of your picture here on the right side. But he's hasn't really been involved in all too much. Just kind of seems like he's been a victim of certain circumstances here tonight. Definitely shown some pace. He was able to keep up with the number 94 and the number 92 and Mogart in a green flag run that we had just a few laps to go. But pace car lights stay on, so looks like we'll have at a maximum 5-lap shootout, which if you're a fan here watching on 3Wide TV, we welcome you. Thank you for joining us. Definitely get up on the edge of your seats for this finish here tonight, because these drivers definitely know how to put on a show. If it's going to be anything like the Truck Series finish we had 2 weeks ago here at Martinsville Speedway, we had side-by-side photo finish here at Martinsville, which is something you don't see very often. But those 2 left side tires on the number 92 of Evan Black. But yes, those 2 old left side tires. Doesn't quite seem like he's been able to have the grip to contend with the 94, but we'll find out here in just about a lap or so as pace car lights are off. We're getting set to go back to green flag racing. It will be a 5-lap shootout. And keep an eye on Mogart as well. He's your points leader, looking to get another win here on the Cup Series side of things as a pace car dives down pit road. The race is in the hands of Corey Silva. The flagman has the green flag in hand as these drivers come out of the corner hard on the gas. 94 of Silva's going to cut up in front of Evan Black. Definitely no teammate advantage there for Evan Black. Thought they might have timed that restart, but at this point in the race, I don't think that was going to happen there. Mogart trying to get around the outside of Kelsey Rogers, not able to do so. We're all single file up at the front. We'll have to see if Evan Black can do anything. There was a little bit of bumper tag that went on in the Truck Series side of things here under 5 laps. Oh, the number 82! The caution flag is out. Troy Hayton involved, Jim Foose involved in the 42. We're all piled up on the backstretch. That's going to give the race win to Corey Silva, but it looked like the 82 there, Jamie Moore, there was a little bit of contact, possibly, that got that number 82 sideways. Oh, it looks like he just got loose, got into the side of the number 98, and a couple of drivers piled in. Alex Giese, the 80 of Jack Wells, just got on the lead lap not too long ago. 41 Tim Knott got involved in a couple of accidents here tonight, and that is unfortunately how this race is going to end. But a big stack up on the back stretch with 4 laps to go is going to bring out the race's final yellow flag. And Mr. Producer, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that was 13 caution flags here tonight. We'll have to see if we can get a call on that. Yep, there you go. 13 caution flags, 59 laps. We'll get the last 2 under caution, so 61 of the 175 laps here tonight. Basically a polar opposite from the truck race we saw here not too long ago, but definitely redemption for those primetime racing drivers. They kind of got snookered out of a win at the Truck Series race here, but here tonight they've asserted their dominance, coming home with a checkered flag. Really been the fastest cars. 92 Evan Black started on the pole, led a good portion of this race, got involved in a few mishaps there through the middle portion of this race. Great recovery for him to finish second. And the 94, I mean, we saw him stopped on pit road, having to avoid a car that had spun, lost a few spots, gained those spots back relatively quickly. Great run by him. Kelsey Rogers, he's been pretty steadfast in the top 5 or top 10 the entire race. So great run by these top 3. But ladies and gentlemen, get your kazoos ready, because the number 94 of Corey Silva gonna take the checkered flag here at Martinsville Speedway to get a win here in the SMS Cup Series. I'm sure he's gonna burn it down. Brian Time Racing definitely gonna celebrate here tonight. Those 2 teammates finishing 1-2. There's no better way to finish than 1-2 with your teammates. So as he'll come around here on the front stretch, I'm sure we'll get to see some burnouts out of that number 94 machine. As always, putting on a good show for the fans. And definitely really impressive by Corey Silva to get that win. And that number 94 showing us how it's done to get those burnouts here. And for Corey Silva, picking up his first Premier Series win of the season, burning it down. Definitely a great performance. Well, we'll talk to your top 3 finishers here in just a moment, but until then, we'll have a quick word from our sponsors.
The most realistic online racing sim ever made. This is iRacing. Detailed laser scan tracks, fully dynamic real world cars, and over 50 series to choose from. 6 online world championships offering over $100,000 in annual prizes. This is the original esport racing game. This is iRacing.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Martinsville Speedway, where we saw a pretty epic race here tonight. 175 laps around the very tricky Martinsville paperclip. We'll be joined by your third place finisher, Kelsey Rogers, here in just a moment. And here he is, Kelsey Rogers, Peter Short here in the 3-wide TV booth. You got a copy, bud?
Hey, Peter, go ahead.
All right, man. Ben, what a crazy race here tonight. It seemed like every driver got involved in something tonight in one way or another. But you were able to work your way up into the top 5 near the end of the race. You were able to get around Mogard right towards the end and end up with a third place finish. Talk us through the race, because it was a crazy race from your perspective.
Yeah, it was pretty much about survival. Got taken out there. Alex got into me at the beginning. There wasn't a whole lot he could do. It was just everybody was bunched up and on the brakes, and we went around early and just fought our way back throughout the race and timed the pit stops right to be up towards with the fast guys on their strategy towards the end of the race.
Yeah, it was definitely kind of a few strategy calls there to get track position. It seemed like it was really hard to pass here tonight. It seemed like it was actually harder to pass than the truck race we had 2 weeks ago. How were you able to make passes here tonight?
You get guys that there's two lines. You run the fast line, and then there's the defensive line. People get to running where they take that high arc and come down to the yellow line in the middle of the apex. It makes it pretty hard to pass a guy, when they do that. So you just have to time it a little better to get a little better run off the corner if you can.
It seemed like rear tires were paramount as well because, like you said, getting the drive off the corner is kind of what you need to get the pass done here at Martinsville. How important was saving your tires, and how did you try and adapt your driving style to save the rear tires?
To be honest, it was pretty clear from the beginning we weren't going to have to save much tires, so I think everybody just was in full sprint mode pretty much the whole race, especially up front, knowing how many cautions we had. So I don't think anybody expected a long green flag run.
Yeah, we did get at least a 40-lap run in, which was good to see here tonight, and in and amongst the 13 cautions we had. But definitely a great showing for you in the number 35. Definitely a good points night. Looking forward, we got a few great races on the schedule, just not too far away. One of those being the next race that we have, which just so happens to be on the Cup Series side of things at Michigan International Speedway. The new package that these Cup cars have, that might just make Michigan a super speedway. We'll have to wait and see, but what are your thoughts about Michigan?
Yeah, Michigan's going to be pretty fun. I think everybody's getting the package figured out now to where we'll be able to race around each other, and it's the widest track on the circuit, so we shouldn't have a problem. It'll be a good time.
Absolutely. Well, before we let you go, Kelsey, you got some shout-outs for us?
Yeah, just Cody and Jimmy at SRM. Say hi to my dad if he's watching. Say hi to Cody if he's watching too. And good job, Mr. Silva, on the win tonight. And we'll see you guys next week. Thanks for the broadcast.
All right, Kelsey, we thank you for stopping by and wish you best of luck next week.
Thank you.
All right, well, ladies and gentlemen, that was your third place finisher, Kelsey Rogers. And we'll now get to bring in your second place finisher, Evan Black. Definitely started on the pole here tonight and was really impressive on pace. Showed that might throughout the race. Unfortunately, got caught up in a little bit of a mess there about 2/3 of the way through the race. But Evan Black, you got a copy? Oh, we'll see if we can dial him up one more time. Evan. Oh, there he is. Evan, man, you had the pole. You led a lot of laps early on. A little bit of strategy calls seemed to work against you. You got caught up in a mess there, but you were able to recover for a second place finish with your own strategy call, taking 2 tires after you got really loose coming out of the corner, maybe a little bit of net code. But talk us through your race from your perspective.
Well, just kind of like the Martinsville truck race. The first little bit of it was great. The first 80 laps of that race were really fun, and then just got sent to the rear of the field because, or got sent mid-pack because of coming down pit road, and got hit in the left rear, got spun around, lost a few spots there, and it kind of went downhill from there.
Yeah, definitely. If I was in your shoes, I'd definitely be, kind of disappointed finishing second in these races here at Martinsville, especially because of all the pace you did have. How are you going to be able to rebound from these races going into the next Cup Series race at Michigan?
Well, I won an Auto Club a few weeks ago, and Auto Club in Michigan will be pretty similar, so hoping we can go out there and get a good finish. Today in Martinsville, a few weeks ago in the trucks, there were still good finishes. A second today, a third back then, but, I feel like if that stayed green in this race, I could have had a chance to go out there, maybe rough up Corey a little bit, move him out of the way, but I was down on power there at the end, and then on the 2 tires, it just didn't work out.
Yeah, it seemed like you couldn't quite get the grip through the center of the corner that you needed on that 92 machine. But one thing I do want to ask you, so we had a lot of cautions here tonight. How did that affect your driving style with all those cautions? Were you able to find your rhythm in between those cautions? Because sometimes it can be difficult to find your rhythm if you have a lot of cautions.
Yeah, I was able to find my rhythm pretty well. Corey, he was definitely faster than me on the longer runs there, so I was just kind of trying to run up a lane or something. So it's really hard to pass, and especially really hard to pass if you kind of block the outside and only give them the lane on the inside open, and you can just kind of pinch them down. And as long as they don't hit you, which I knew Corey wouldn't, at least that early on in the race, made it fairly easy to hold on to the top spot and stay in a rhythm.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely always nice when you are racing your teammate, because you don't expect them to run into your door panel. But before we let you go, you got some shout-outs for us?
Yeah, I need to thank my sponsors, Prime Time Racing TV, Rapid Fire Graphics, Air Movement and Fabrications, and thanks to you guys for broadcasting, and congrats to Corey on the win.
All right, well, ladies and gentlemen, that is your second place finisher, Evan Black. Evan, we thank you for joining us here on 3-Wide TV, as always, and wish you best of luck next week in the Truck Series side of things at Auto Club.
Thanks, guys.
All right, well, that's your second place finisher, Evan Black, as we'll see if we can drag the race winner, Corey Silva, up here into the broadcasting booth. And Corey Silva, Peter Short, you got a copy, bud?
Yes, sir.
All right, man. Well, you showed some absolute muscle here tonight. Showed lots of long run pace. You didn't quite get that pole, but you started on the front row, led a significant amount of laps here tonight, and got the checkered flag there at the end, passing Evan Black with about 15 or so laps to go. Talk us through your race, because it was an impressive one.
Yeah, I mean, Evan and we have a little running gag that it's kind of like the Jeff Gordon and Jimmy Johnson deal here, where Gordon taught Johnson everything he knew, and then Johnson ended up being better than him. So it's like we have a little rivalry. I'm the old guy, he's the young guy. Which one of us is better? So he wants to beat me, I want to beat him. And we kind of knew that it was going to be a battle, and it just seemed like everything that could go wrong went wrong. He got spun out a couple times. I got put in the back on a weird strategy on the pits, weird call on the backstretch. But we knew once we got out there, it was our race. It was just a matter of getting in position, and all those yellows at the end really made it a little tense. But we got ourselves up there, and it was another good battle.
Yeah, well, I asked Evan this question, but I wanted to hear from your perspective. We had a lot of cautions here tonight, and like you said, you got stuck in traffic a couple times. Martinsville is one of those racetracks where it's kind of a rhythm racetrack. You just kind of have to hit your marks lap after lap. How did those cautions and dealing with that traffic affect your rhythm tonight?
For me, I mean, he's a lot better at adapting on the fly. I kind of take 5 or 10 laps to kind of get in my stride, so I'm not good on those restarts. I really needed to get some heat in the tires. I needed the track to wear in so I can move around my line and get the feel. So when I'm doing 5-6 lap sprints, that's not my style at all, and that's what it came down to. So we just had to dig deep and kind of play a little kind of talk out the restarts as a team and help each other out there and make sure one of us got in victory lane.
Yeah, with about 50 laps to go, we saw you stopped on the track for a car that had spun in front of you. You were the race leader. You went back to 5th. What kind of went through your mind after that? I'm sure you were kind of a little bit heated there, losing all that track position. But then talk us through how you're able to get through the track, because it looked really, really difficult to pass out there, and you made it look pretty easy.
Yeah, so that whole incident was just, the 58, he was just dead sideways in the middle of the track, and I know he wants to do the best thing he can do the most, but there was no, I don't know, it was just a weird situation to be in. I went low, he backed up, so I was stuck. I lost 5 or 6 spots, but to be honest, I got by a couple of them quick, and then I knew once I got to Mogard, you guys saw last week, you know how many Mogard are, that was going to be a battle. But once I got through it, got the clean air, I knew I was fine, but like you said, all those cautions and it was fun getting through there, but this is my favorite track. I got sick of blowing races here, so I wanted to make sure we took this one home.
All right, well, that is exactly what you did. Got 2 races coming up. The next race for the Premier Series will be at Auto Club, which should be a pretty interesting race on the Truck Series side. And then after that, we got Michigan in the SMS Cup Series. How about those 2 races looking forward?
Well, I know Auto Club in the trucks at night, it's going to be kind of a draft lock for about 10 laps, and then might start to separate out a little bit, so I'm not overly looking forward to it, but I think we'll be good. And then we did some testing at Michigan, and depending on the temperature of the track, it's going to be Daytona Junior, so it's just going to be pure luck, I think. But again, the packages surprised me a little bit, so I guess we'll see what happens.
All right, well, before we let you go, I know you've got some shout-outs here to give us tonight.
Yes, the guys PTR, Primetime Racing TV, Air Movement Fabrications, and shout out to Dirty Bird Sim Racing. They've been giving me a lot of support the past couple weeks, so shout out to them and you guys and Jim.
All right, well, ladies and gentlemen, that is your race winner tonight. Driver of the number 94 machine, Corey Silva. Corey, we thank you for stopping by, and best of luck next week at Auto Club.
Thanks.
All right, well, that just about wraps it up. We just got the race results left for you, and hopefully we can get those up here on the screen in just a moment. But definitely an exciting race here. 13 caution flags and 1 race winner, the 94 of Corey Silva. And we're getting those results lined up for you here in just a moment. But, man, we got some great races coming up. Auto Club next week, like I said. Michigan Michigan in 2 weeks after next week, so 3 weeks from now. Richmond will be the race after Auto Club in the trucks. So definitely some good races coming up. Well, finally, we do have those results up. Corey Silva is your race winner. Evan Black, the number 92 machine, came home 2nd. Kelsey Rogers 3rd. Jared Mogard 4th. Ty Hester, good run for him in that number 36 machine. He needed a good run and got that here tonight. Alexander Pelican coming home in the 6th position. Alan Young 7th. Jared Haggerty 8th. Jimmy McKee 9th. And Sam Maxwell, he battled through, started in the 5th position, got involved in a wreck early, battled it out, coming home in the 10th position. In the 11th position, we had the number 9 of Brandon Stokes. Jim Foose, 12th. Alex Giese. Man, we saw him hard in the inside wall about halfway through this race. He comes home in 13th. Tyler Sauvel, 14th. Jack Wells was 1 lap down almost right at the end of the race, comes home in 15th. Will Worsler had no front end for a while. He comes home in the 16th. Andy Veltman, 17th. Jamie Moore, 18th. Tim Knott, 19th. Troy Haight, 20th. And in 21st position, the first car 1 lap down, Edward Bray. Lee Staples finishing 3 laps down in 22nd. Richard Stallings also 3 laps down, 23rd. Richard Fletcher, 24th. Danny Rogers, 25th. Josh Walker, 26th. Chris Lane, 27th. Michael Krobach and Clarence Bonner are the last of your finishers. Steve Buhala did not start this race after a race suspension. And so that just about wraps it up here on 3 Wide TV. We thank you for joining us. As always, make sure to like the video, subscribe, comment down below. Want to give a thank you to SimTV for these wonderful cameras that we have each and every week. Want to give a shout out to Thomas Moritz longtime friend of 3 Wide TV, who puts together this broadcast, all the graphics that we use here on the broadcast. Thomas, we really thank you for that. He continues to improve all these graphics each and every week, and definitely Carlos Acosta for manning these cameras. And that will just about do it for us. Corey Silva, your race winner here at Martinsville. We'll see you next week at Auto Club Speedway for another 125 miles.